A betrayal confessed, 16 years of devotion, 2 years of deceit, and the path to a new life. Chapter 1. A foundation built on sand. I am 43 years old, and until recently, I believed my life was a blueprint for hard-won, enduring happiness. My wife is 40. We married young, at a time when we had nothing but ambition and love. Over 16 years of marriage, we went through it all: financial struggles, the friction of maturing personalities, and the birth of 2 children. Our daughter is now 14, and our son is 9. I've worked as an engineer for the past 7 years, while she spent the last 3 building a career as a manager at a major advertising agency. We lived comfortably, but I never placed money above family. I considered myself an involved father and a reliable husband. Yes, I made mistakes. Sometimes I was clumsy with household chores or emotionally slow, but I was always there. It is terrifying to realize now that for the past 3 years, I was the only one truly building this home, while my wife was methodically pulling the bricks out from under it. Chapter 2. The Subtle Poison of Comparison. It all began about 2 years ago. The atmosphere in our home began to shift, not abruptly, but as if an invisible poison had been released into the air. My wife became cold. Everything I did provoked either boredom or irritation in her. But worst of all was the constant presence of a third party in our conversations, her boss. She started comparing us. At first, it was under the guise of a joke, but eventually it turned into undisguised contempt. "My boss is so perceptive. He understands people's feelings without a word. Why can't you just read my mind?" Or, "My boss arranged an incredible rooftop date for his wife. He knows how to make a woman feel special. You just brought flowers for no reason. It's so cliché." I felt like an immature boy. I bought psychology books, read forums, and tried to understand, what am I doing wrong? To my direct questions, what do you need to be happy? She would give the classic trap answer: if I have to tell you, then it doesn't count. You should just know. I was in a dead end, unaware that her exemplary boss had long been giving her everything she accused me of lacking. Chapter 3. The Viper in the Nest. The Family Friendship. The most monstrous part of this story is the level of cynicism involved. We were very close friends with this boss and his family. They had children too, and our kids got along famously. We hosted joint barbecues, went to parks, and celebrated holidays together. I trusted this man. Moreover, in moments of despair when my relationship with my wife hit a wall, I turned to him for advice as an older, wise companion. He would pat me on the shoulder, nod sympathetically, and give me advice on how to better understand a woman. I thought, what a great guy. I'm so lucky to have such a circle. Meanwhile, behind my back, he and my wife were texting, discussing how pathetic I was and how easily they were playing me for a fool. Chapter 4. The Night the World Collapsed. Suspicions became reality on an ordinary evening. We were lying in bed. She was texting someone on her phone and giggling quietly. As a joke, I leaned over to glance at the screen. Her reaction was instantaneous and frightening. She recoiled, clutched the phone to her chest, and began screaming about violating personal boundaries. She locked herself in the bathroom for half an hour. The next day, I demanded to see the phone. She handed it over only after several hours, time enough for her to scrub the history. The chats looked strange: fragmented sentences, a lack of logic, and deleted blocks of messages. My gut screamed that a catastrophe was unfolding. With the help of a friend, I managed to recover the deleted data and discovered the existence of a second work phone I knew nothing about. What I read there destroyed me. The affair had lasted 2 years. They had slept everywhere: in hotels, on business trips, at his house when his wife was away, and, the most painful part, in our bed while I was at work or with the children. I read their discussions about my deficiencies in bed and their jokes about my gullibility. I sobbed in the garage, not knowing how to look my children in the eye. Chapter 5. The Alliance of the Betrayed. Instead of immediately causing a scene, she would have wriggled out of it, I contacted the boss's wife. She was in the dark. We met secretly, and I showed her what I found. She was devastated, but in her eyes a cold fire of rage ignited, matching my own. We made a pact. We would gather irrefutable evidence so they couldn't claim it was just texting. She had access to his accounts and cloud storage. It turned out he was so arrogant that he kept their joint photos and receipts from jewelry stores. We hired lawyers and prepared divorce papers simultaneously. All this time, about a month, we continued to play the role of loving spouses. It was the hardest time of my life, getting into bed with a person who had been stepping on me for 2 years while wearing a smile. Chapter 8. The Surprise in the Robe. The exposé came when we learned they had booked a luxury room at a country hotel for the weekend. I went there with a process server. When the server called my wife down to the lobby under the pretext of a registration issue, she came down in nothing more than a silk robe. When she saw me, she froze. Her face turned gray. The server officially handed her the papers. She tried to cause a scene, grabbed my arm and screamed, "You ruined everything! I can explain! You pushed me to this!" The server had to intervene. I didn't say a word. I just turned around and walked away. At the same time, the lover, returning to the room, discovered that his wife had blocked all his accounts and already changed the locks to their house. We struck simultaneously, pulling the rug out from under both of them. Chapter 7. The Siege of the Ideal Wife. After the exposure, a period began that psychologists call love bombing. My wife quit her job. She crawled on her knees, swearing the lover was a mistake, a delusion, and that she was just drifting. She started therapy, read books on fidelity, and showered me with care I hadn't seen in 10 years. Pressure came from all sides. My mother, knowing only the tip of the iceberg, said, "For the sake of the children, give her a chance. She's trying so hard." My wife tried to seduce me every day, bought new lingerie, wrote letters listing what a wonderful husband I was, even burned everything that could remind her of the affair. But I didn't see repentance. I saw fear. Fear of losing comfort, her status as a decent woman, and my income. In therapy sessions, she complained that I was cruel and resentful. And when she found out I was still talking to the boss's ex-wife, she practically exploded. She accused me of plotting a revenge through an affair and demanded I stop communicating. Imagine that. A woman who betrayed me for 2 years was setting my conditions for fidelity. Chapter 8. A Farewell Christmas. I agreed to spend the last holidays together for the sake of the children, but it was mere formality. I watched her try to be the ideal wife, and it disgusted me. Now she was proactive in bed, when I allowed it. Now she laughed at my jokes. Now she was the queen of the household. I looked at her and thought, why did you need to sleep with another man for 2 years just to start valuing me? I realized if I stayed, I would always be waiting for a new boss to turn her head. I followed through with the divorce. She was generous in the division of property, perhaps in attempt to buy my conscience, or the only way she could express her shame. I took my share and left, feeling an incredible sense of peace. Epilogue 3 years later. 3 years have passed. Life has a strange sense of humor. My communication with the boss's betrayed wife did indeed grow into something more. At first, it was just support. We were the only people in the world who understood each other's pain to the core. We had dinners, walked, and discussed the progress of the court cases. Gradually, I realized I was falling in love with her strength, her honesty, and her principles. She's a successful businesswoman, a beauty, and most importantly, she'll never make me doubt my worth. We've been together for 2 years. This is the healthiest relationship I've ever had. My ex-wife, I heard she never found a permanent partner. Her boss tried to return to his family, but his wife, my current partner, threw him out without a penny, and now he works as a low-level clerk in another city. I sit on the terrace of my new home, watching my children play in the garden, and I realize that day at the hotel was not the end of my life. It was the day of my liberation from a prison I had built for myself. I'm not bitter. I'm just a man who chose himself.